Good afternoon, folks. Scrubby here, and today we're going to talk about State of Decay 2's Update 36. Undead Labs, they did it. It's an absolute banger. There's so many good things in this update, so many great changes that the game really needed, and I'm really excited about it, and I'm excited to talk about it. So let's dive in. I've got it here up on my screen. Let's talk about it. A collection of quality of life improvements. With today's update, we are addressing a few issues which have been affecting players while also implementing improvements. They've got a collection of quality of life improvements listed at the top, and then they've got Blackheart Curveball tweaks and bug fixes. Let's start with the quality of life improvements and tweaks. You now have the ability to deposit your rucksacks at upgraded outposts level 2 or higher, and this was the first one I read. Obviously, when I looked at this list earlier, it was so inconvenient to go out looting and have to go back to the base just to dump rucksacks, just to leave again when you've got these outposts that should be able to process the loot. Like, I mean, if they can process all the other loot, they should have been able to process rucksacks. But there is now a take all action for containers for the survivors that need to grab everything and run, which is perfect. I can't count how many times I've been looking at an inventory and I've had zombies coming up to get me. Take all would have been great. Would have been great to have. I'm glad it's in there now. There is now a drop item action directly from containers, making it easier to shuffle and transfer personal items around. This action has also been added to vehicle storage trunks. Perfect. It was silly having to leave the inventory to drop something and then go back into the inventory. So this is nice. Good. Glad to hear it. You can now remove weapon attachments from selected ranged weapons in the supply locker without needing to equip them first. They probably just means from the ones we selected, not that there's a selection of weapons it works for. Okay, great. All the time I'm pulling stuff out of the inventory to get the suppressor off of it, then putting it back, then grabbing the gun that I was using and putting that back on, and this will just save a bunch of time. The zombie trappers and the cannibal enclaves can now appear once per map instead of once per community. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not super familiar with these enclaves. The zombie trappers, I know. The cannibals, I don't know if I've ever actually seen them in game. I don't know much about these guys, so I don't have much to say about this one. Minor bloater improvements. The visual effects and damage of the gas burst are better matched, so it no longer looks and feels like you were damaged unfairly. To compensate, the bloaters will now also try to get slightly closer to your survivor before exploding. That is great. Every time I die to bloater gas or I get real injured to bloater gas, my first response is, that's such bullshit. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. So this is good. I'm glad about this one. I'm glad to hear it. Better completion counter on curveballs with objectives. Under the weather and missing a few bolts will now read 0 of 3 deposits instead of 0 of 1 3 times. Oh, that's good. I mean, that's nice. That's a neat little update. Good. A minor change that allows more characters to potentially get the Blood Plague Survivor trait. Interesting. I only recently learned about this trait within the last couple of weeks, so hopefully it's not super easy, because it should still be a rare thing to get. It should be one of the more coveted of traits. Hopefully that's the case, but good. I'm glad that maybe we'll get to see it a little more often. Let's see. Expansion of new randomly generated character names and nicknames added to the pool when creating a new survivor. Oh, so they just added new names? Cool. I wonder if we'll see some nice Easter eggs in there. Blackheart Curveball tweaks. It's been mentioned that the Black Plagueheart can be too dominating on a community, which we know all too well, especially when it rolls early, so we made some adjustments to make it feel more balanced and less punishing. The Blackheart Curveball will now only appear after 6 days have passed, or 2 when moving maps. So if it's your original map, 6 days. If you've relocated to a second map, 2 days. Okay, that's good. Gives you a bit of time to prepare. The Blackheart Toxic Miasma, hopefully I'm saying that right, miasma effect will stop dealing damage sooner at a higher threshold, rather than a write down to a slither of health remaining. Damage per tick stays the same. Okay, wait. The Blackheart Toxic Miasma effect will stop dealing damage sooner at a higher health threshold, rather than right down to a slither of health remaining. Damage per tick stays the same. So it sounds like the ticks just don't last as long. If it's dealing the same amount of damage per tick, they're either making the ticks quicker in succession or fewer ticks. Leave a comment below if you understand this one better than I do. I'm not exactly sure what this means. Maybe I'm dumb. I don't know. Leave a comment below if you know what this means and you could clear that up for me. Damage voiceover added when taking toxic damage to give additional warning while also feeling more realistic. Oh, that's great. More warnings. Good. Better. Like it. Improved visual effects for Blackheart, Plague, Miasma. Okay, cool. Reduced the fuel drain speed for the Blackheart Thick Miasma effect. Great. So we've tackled 2 Black Plaguehearts on the channel. One, I lost both of my vehicles. I had Mad Norma and an Impaler. Both of them got stuck inside the Black Plagueheart. I lost my main character. I always name my main character Scrubby. We lost him. We lost 2 other people trying to recover his stuff. Black Plaguehearts are so brutal. So reducing the fuel drain speed is such a win, dude. Good. Big W. Thank you. Thank you so much, Undead Labs. We appreciate you. Reduce the growth speed for the Blackheart Growing Dominion effect. I don't know what a Blackheart Growing Dominion effect is. I think that is the Black Plagueheart area of effect starts at one size and over time it gets bigger, and it sounds like they've just reduced the speed at which the area of effect grows. That's what that means to me. Hopefully that is what it is. If that's the case, that's great. Balancing changes to the fire-resistant Blackheart zombies. Slower and cause less sickness, plague buildup per attack. Perfect, good. So it sounds like there's just a bunch of overall nerfs to the Black Plagueheart, but it doesn't sound like they nerfed it so much that they're a non-issue. They just made it a little more forgiving in a few areas, which is great. Hopefully it's not too forgiving. Only time will tell, and testing it out in the game. We'll see how it goes, but hopefully it's not too easy. Some of the most fun I've ever had playing this game was tackling a Black Plagueheart. I hope they didn't do away with the chaos that comes with. And bug fixes. Trumbull Valley Clio mission edge case fixed. Previously, it was possible to end the mission without getting the Clio device and then be subsequently unable to get it. Okay, good. Fix for a crash when attempting to access cached community after shutdown. Okay. Sentinel mutation curveball and the hyper auditory mutation curveball can no longer roll at the same time. It was an awkward combination as they contradict each other. Okay. We may have run into that actually. Minor curveball journal improvements, fixed UI clipping, and slight adjustment to automatic font resizing. Cool. So they fixed a few bugs that people seem to have been having, and that is it, folks. It looks like the overall takeaway from this is they've got a few bug fixes, which is great. They nerfed the Black Plagueheart a little bit, but it doesn't look like they nerfed it too badly, and a ton of quality of life improvements. And I really mean improvements. These are some of the biggest frustrations I've had with the game fixed. And big ups to Undead Labs for still putting TLC into this game so far into this life cycle. The game's been out for years and they're still dropping banger updates, and not just bug fix updates. Like some of these are pretty major changes. This far into the game's life cycle is like huge W for Undead Labs, huge W. I appreciate it. Anyways, so that's update 36. I hope you guys learned something and are ready to dive into it like I am. I appreciate you for watching. Until next time, farewell.